Bonjour and welcome back. My name is Ashton. I don't know why I have to say it weird every time. And I'm working on a video, and I thought I'd have it done by this week. I thought, yeah, I can do it. And I'm less than one third done it. So I pivoted. I pivoted real quick, aka last minute today. And instead, I thought I'd talk about my favorite book of all time, which I mentioned that I might do a review for. So this is less a review and more an analysis. Because what is there to say about the book that other than it's fucking amazing? So I thought I'd talk more about the themes and yeah, what really goes down in this book. Oh, everyone's probably gone already. So I think the big thing about this book we need to consider and look at is its legacy. I have my booklet here that I write my notes in. Oh, bye. And let me see, I saved it. I have one page. Ignore that. One page of notes. It's in red, so you probably can't see it. I don't. Oh, here we go. Yeah. I didn't actually need to bring out. I knew what I wanted to say. But basically, Battle Royale, it was quite controversial on its release because it's brutal, it is violent, it is a lot of things. I don't want to say, oh no. I don't know exactly the ideas around specifically violence in Japan. But I mean, Danganronpa had to make their blood pink, so not very shockingly, it wasn't very well received. However, it quickly grew. Lots of people actually really liked it when they read it, including the teen audience. So then they translated it. Once again, quite controversial due to its content, but also grew in popularity. And now it is here today being one of the most prominent non-Western pieces of media. Books can be considered media, right? I always have. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Anyways, one of the most popular translated literature. It's probably not the most popular even from Japan. That probably goes to Murakami. However, it's definitely up there. It's one of the most popular dystopias of all time. There's maybe four other books that compare with it. Hunger Games, Brave New World, the Orwell ones, Fahrenheit and 1984. I don't think Animal Farm is a dystopia. I'm not sure. It's had a very big impact now leading it's been adapted into basically every form of media. Graphic novel, slash manga, I guess. Same thing. I don't know if it's been adapted to a TV show, but it has movies, and it's apparently been adapted to a game. It's also very clearly an inspiration for and the inspiration and there's a word I'm looking for. I don't know what it is. It is clearly big for the battle royale genre. Whoa. I know that it probably wasn't titled after this. I feel like battle royale is a term. I mean, I can't really say how often it was used before this book was released. But I don't imagine this book popularized the name that much, right? Maybe it did. Who knows? But yes, it has quite a big legacy and is now still today dissected over its meanings and stuff. Like a good classic, even though it's modern classics, it's 1991. I thought it was way earlier. I don't know why. I thought like 1970s. I like truly, but no, 1991. Shocking, isn't it? I realized I didn't explain what Battle Royale is. I know most people watching probably know it, but to make it incredibly general, it follows a group of 42 students. I saw that number right there. I saw it. Okay, never mind. 42 students. Yes, 16 plus 16. 42 students from one junior high class who are thrown on an island by the government and are told to all kill each other until one remains. Sound familiar? I don't want to, I was going to say everyone copies it, but not quite. But, very similar in concept to Hunger Games. So, the main story, I guess I'll go characters first. I feel like I was going to go themes, but it makes more sense to go characters and then so that I can explain more of this plot. So, the main three characters we follow, I have the important characters I'm talking about today written down because it's sort of because I don't want to say we follow all 42 characters, but I believe more than half of these characters at some point. Oh, is half might be a little too much. 20, 21? I don't know if that's too much. We follow a lot of the characters. Touched it. Some for like one chapter, others are the main characters. But you typically get to see how every character has died, which I think is like a great thing from the novel. This like it really helps with the themes and it makes I think the book much stronger with it following everyone instead of being like, these are our three, who cares what else is happening? It really strengthened its themes and it really showed the spectrum of possibility in this situation so well. Whereas, like with Hunger Games, you only follow Katniss. You don't get to see a lot of the characters die. You just see sort of two ends of a spectrum. You just see those being nice and those being incredibly brutal. So I think the novel is amazing in that sense. I know that makes it longer, but I love how long it is. It really makes it feel like you're experiencing the story as it is and not like it's a story, you know? Anyways, so the main characters are Shuya, Noriko, and Kawada. Those are the three we basically always follow. They're your main threes. For the first I want to say 100 pages, it's Noriko and Shuya, and then Kawada joins in, and it's a whole thing. So it's like, can we trust him? Woo! So they're like the three main characters. We're mostly following them as they're trying to survive, not kill people, and escape. Which I think Noriko doesn't kill anyone, the other two do. And then we have the two, I don't want to say antagonists. I feel like the antagonist is supposed to be the government. Kazuo Kiriyama, you can definitely call an antagonist, but I feel bad calling Soma one. But basically, the two physical, I like that. The two physical antagonists, the main one is Kiriyama, and the secondary one is Mitsuko Soma. And so these two are sort of killing machines. When you are reading someone dying, it's usually because one of those two had planned out their murder, whether directly or in one character's case, sort of indirectly. It's very, I mean, it's kind of nice that you have like, not only do you have two killers, and so it's not like you're watching one person just absolutely demolish everyone. Keep in mind that throughout the novel, there's not just two people who kill, there's a couple. It's just those two kill the most, and they're usually the killers, which I thought was great. It makes sense. It, you want your death spread out, but it really makes these two feel threatening. So when you get down to, I don't remember when Soma dies, but like you get down to the final six. I think she's the sixth to die. Then that one girl who was not in the story dies, and then okay. But when you get down to like that final seven, even it's like terrifying. You have these two machines, and then they go head to head. It's insane, and they contrast. They're foils to each other. You'd think they wouldn't be. You'd think they'd be a foil to the main character, but they foil each other in the sense that Kiriyama, he has like I don't remember what it was specifically in the book. I think he was born without a chunk of his brain. So essentially, he had no emotions. So he had no problem killing people. Whereas Soma, did I save it? Because I was looking through my tabs so I could find which ones I wanted to save for this video. I don't know if I saved it, but there's a great, great line about Soma in here. Once again, oh, yes, I found it. Okay. So here's the line that really it strengthens those ideas that they're a foil and the great way in which they, whatever, I just want to read it. We can't be sure she's really playing the game because we haven't seen her ourselves. From what little I've seen of them in school, they're similar. Kiriyama and Soma. But Soma has purposefully rejected morality and love and all that. I'm sure there's some reason behind it. I don't know what it is, but Kiriyama doesn't have a reason. That's a big difference. He doesn't have a reason. And I think that's around the time she dies. But oh, why is that dog-eared? No! How dare you? Oh, that's why it's dog-eared. Okay. Anyways, I think the book, I don't need to put this, I'm putting it down anyways. I think the book does a great job at contrasting our villains and making them unique. She has a whole backstory. Not very shockingly, it involves rape. Whoa, who could have seen that coming? It's not like every woman ever. And I'll be talking more about that because there's another character. Yeah. The other characters I want to highlight, I think I want to talk about with the themes I'm kind of looking at it. I guess there's Shinji and Yutaka and Sugimura, who I guess he kind of goes for some of these. But Shinji and Yutaka, I guess they do too. Anyways, I'll still talk about these. Yeah, because these characters also last like the entire book. The other characters I have on here are like only in small chunks. So Sugimura basically spends the whole book. I didn't write down his first name. He spends the whole book searching down two women, and then because one of them he knew was in love with him, and the other one he was in love with. It's a whole thing. It has a really sad but satisfying payoff where he does get to tell both the girl that loves him that he doesn't love her, but it's okay, and then also telling the girl that he's in love with. Or does he miss it? Oh, I don't remember. Either way, he gets really close to it, and then she dies, and then he dies, and it's really sad. I might cry a couple times with talking about this book. And then Shinji and Yutaka. Shinji has a plan to escape. He has something from his uncle who's anti-government because they're an authoritarian. Oh, good lord, authoritarian government. So his uncle was against it and gave him something to help, even though his uncle didn't know he'd be in the games. I don't know. Then it fails and he dies because Kuriyama. Shocker. Anyways, with the characters through, just to kind of sum up what happens, everyone basically dies. We get to the final showdown of the three I talked about, and Kiriyama. I don't exactly remember how they kill him. They just do. He gets shot or something, I think, simply. And then there's a whole scene. Kawada, Shuya, and Noriko hijack a ship. Kawada dies. He got an injury that he couldn't fix, or he could have fixed, but he risked dying and then not showing them how to drive the ship, so he didn't, ultimately sacrificing himself. We're gonna get to that. Yeah, and then the very last chapter is Noriko and Shuya trying to escape the mainland, and then them getting caught and like blowing up a mall or something. I know the themes and everything about the book would not work with the sequel, but I'm so desperate to know what happens to them. Like, it's so hard. Hold on. I have it saved. I think I have the last line tabbed, but it's like, it's so tempting to figure out what happens. Yeah, like, 'cause we don't see either of them die, so it's like, Okay, anyways, now on to the themes and the symbolism in it. So, there's obviously a lot of themes. For example, the back of the book, this one I don't really feel, is a potent allegory for for what it means to be young and barely alive in a dog eat dog world. I get it, but I don't really feel it. Oh, I don't really feel like that when I read this book. I wasn't like, this is obviously about real life and the effects of it. No. Like, in some ways, yes, but not really. For example, another thing I haven't saved, but I'm gonna look for it anyways. I think it's chapter 12, I think. Because I had a bunch of things in chapter 10 saved, so it must be 12. Yeah, with Sakura and Hiko, Ogawa and Yamamoto. Yeah, Yamamoto. Where they're like two teen lovers and then they kill themselves so that they could be together in eternity. That felt very, very much in line with that, but and like Sugimura, his whole storyline, but most of these don't give off those vibes. I felt more like the themes I have written. And of course, I will be pulling up. So obviously, it's compared to Lord of the Flies because that was its closest before Hunger Games dropped. So the possibility of evil and what it means to be evil. Are we born evil? How do we enact our evils? That kind of stuff. Redemption is a big theme in this. Authoritarianism, shocker. I won't be talking about that because obviously the book's about authoritarianism. Selflessness and the ability to self-sacrifice and to do the right thing even in a hopeless situation, and the durability of the human spirit. That's what I have written down. I mean, truly, you can go into any book and be like, this is a criticism of capitalism, which real me every time I read a book. But I I feel like these are really what the book wanted me to think. And then yeah, I'll get to I guess also rebellion, but once again that kind of goes. We'll talk about that more when I get to religion. So for the themes, possibility of evil. That's what my teacher always said when we talked about the themes of everything we read in grade 11, includes Lord of the Flies, which are right there. I I don't know if I fully agree with that. I find, but I definitely like. It's obviously. Hold on, I saved some lines. Is this it? Yeah, because there's definitely lines in here that indicate the author's opinion that clearly is quite different from Lord of the Flies. It's much more nuanced than Lord of the Flies. That was one thing. Because oops, I touched it. I read this at the exact same time as Lord of the Flies, and reading it every time something came up, I was like, it's more nuanced. It's exploring it better, in my opinion. Like, yeah, but it was very black and white, which I think is really funny to say, because teachers used to always say, I focus too much on the black and white, and I still do get those comments. But this book very much felt like he was exploring more, and the only character who's really explored as evil other than Sakamochi, who's like one of the organizers of it, and the general government, is Kuriyama, the character who's missing a piece of his brain. Every other character is shown to have a reason. Oh, I just realized. There's another line that I want to find, but I didn't save it. Anyways, let me go through some of these lines, because I have a couple lines here saved, so you can tell. Did I have that? No. I think this is the first one. That sort of show specifically this theme. I have a bunch of random things put in here to help me keep which tab I wanted to use. So you'll find me pulling out random shit. You also can't see the book right now. He himself had seen the logic. Fear could turn a student into a killer, but he also thought that by nature the scared ones would just hide. Yet maybe it was true that extreme terror could drive them into taking initiative. I feel like I didn't do that with context. Was that, I don't know who that was talking to. So it's like, yeah, because someone had like just rushed to attack them, and in self-defense, Shuya had killed him, and Noriko was commenting on how shocked she was because in like knowing him in person, she felt that he was not, yeah, that he was very timid and shy, and so that's kind of a reference to that. But we see that because that's not the main opinion of the author. That's just how he sees it. I guess that is sort of part of the opinion. Here we go. What's this one? Which is here because of the bottom. And this I think is the key to what the author believes. Throughout the novel, the most innocent character is Noriko. Not only does she never murder someone, but she always sees the best. And this line really shows it. She can be paranoid, but she always trusts people. So, it starts here. So, Kawada was talking about what the people were doing, basically talking about what Lord of the Flies is about. And then Noriko says, I think you're wrong. Shuya and Kawada look at her. From the way she sat, hunched over, hugging her knees, Shuya thought the fatigue was starting to catch up with her. But she returned their gazes and spoke clearly. I didn't know any of this. Right, because they were talking about the government. He was talking about how everyone needlessly follows the government just because they can. That hopeless stupidity that enables a person. And so it's kind of like how the government creates hopelessness and paranoia and a environment. That's where environment that encourages. God, what is it with me in words today? Okay, I'm going to keep reading the quote. I didn't know any of this. I've heard a lot of things for the first time just now. If everything you're saying is true, and if everyone knew the whole story, they wouldn't stay silent. Things must be the way they are because everyone is kept in the dark. I don't want to believe that we are all fundamentally bad people, as you say. I'm not saying we're an especially noble people, but I know we're just as capable of rational thought as anyone else on the planet. And then Kawada's like, I like the way you talk, Noriko. It's very cute, it's very hopeful, and I think really goes to show the main ideas of it. Hold on. I realize now that I have other places to go with this. I think it really went to show Noriko's character, that line especially, because so much of the novel is from Shuya and Kawada's perspective and their opinions. So every time Noriko speaks up, I feel like that's when we're getting the opinion the author wants. Noriko is innocence. She represents the pure, and so do other characters. We'll get to them, but she truly represents purity. And so when she represents innocence and this very we're all good. And so in my mind at least, that's clearly what the author was going for. And I feel like Noriko is the character we're supposed to listen to. I have another one here. I don't know if this is, yes. So this is a line from Mitsuko Soma, one of the secondary villain. Here we go. So she's talking to Sugimura, who, as I mentioned, was hunting down two women, one of which was in love with him, and the other he was in love with. She says, You must be a good person, Sugimura. Lightly, almost singing, Mitsuko continued. Good people are good people, in certain circumstances anyway. But even good people can turn bad, though maybe some of them stay good all the way until the end of their lives. Maybe you're one of those people. And then that's another line. Soma is a surprisingly poignant character She's a character we listen to a lot in the story, for at least in the second half. When she starts to say stuff, we're listening and we're told to listen. Characters are saying what she's saying isn't wrong. Characters we trust. We're supposed to listen to what she says. And I think that's huge. Yeah, like, because there's this line where it's like, just maybe, mixed in those words with a tiny bit of realist, I don't know why I said realist, of real emotion. So that's really, it really goes to show the author's concept of evil and ignoring Kiriyama and what he's supposed to represent because he's the only evil person. It consistently remarks that the characters who are committing the murder are committing it because of the situation, not because that's, their inner core. In this book, they are being forced into murder. In Lord of the Flies, they're not. It just comes to them. Here, it's because they're forced, and I think really goes to show the difference there. Yeah, there's another line, which was, I think I have it tabbed, but it's where Kawada says, in reference to a character that they had just killed because he was going to kill them, because Shuya was like, I can't believe you do that. And the Kawada's like, can you? What if he had a sick family member at home? What if he was struggling financially or his family was? You don't know his situation. You don't know why he's killing. And I thought that was amazing. And that once again really goes to show a more in-depth, more gray concept of what evil is and how it pervades us. Another really common thing, actually, I'm going to leave that because it goes into religion as well. These two are basic. I'm also putting them together. So this book obviously also follows the durability of the human spirit. I know that not every character is shown to be these very big humanitarian characters. I'll go with that. Sure, why not? I don't know if I have any quotes related to that saved, but like Sugimura, just his whole story goes to show, because there's even a line where Kawada's like, there's no way he's that naive? Is that the word he said? I don't know what word, but there's a very specific scene because Shuya realizes why Sugimura, after finding him, realizes what Sugimura is doing, and Kawada remarks that that couldn't be possible. It's such a weird thing to do when you're in the middle of a killing game, to hunt down these people. It's so personal in a situation where you need to take all of that away. I thought that was great. And that really shows his durability. And then, here we go. This is what I want to talk about with these two. And I'll be talking about these characters a lot, but they are named Yukiko and Yumiko. So these two girls, they go to church together. I don't know what type of church. I have some of their lines saved. So basically, these girls, they find each other and they went to the same church. And I don't believe they were friends. They might have been. I wish I remembered a little more. But basically, they went to church together, but they themselves weren't Christian. And then while here in this situation, they were debating on what to do. And then, so here's the line. I didn't have this saved, surprisingly.
So about now, some and others, they look like they're bad people. Say they are. They look like they're bad people. They look like they're
Bad. Oh, because there's a period there I can't see. They look like they're bad. People say they are. But they can't be so bad, and they actually enjoy killing. There's nobody like that in our class. Isn't that right? So if only we could reach out to them and explain, everyone would stop fighting. Then we could all figure out if there's anything we can do. Even if we can't find a way out, at least we could avoid this killing. And then the line I do have saved on this page. That's right. I have to do this. I'm not going to die without at least trying. not me. If there's a chance, I'm going to take it. It's like I told you, Kiko. I want to believe. This goes with the rest of the themes I'm talking about, which was what I'm talking about is the durability of the human spirit. Even in, and I say hopelessness a lot, even in this such desperate and hopeless scene, they believe in their friends. I shouldn't say friends. They believe that no one could possibly be evil. And there's a line where they say they're going to be like what the church preaches they should, even though they themselves aren't Christian. They're going to do the good. They're going to risk their lives so they can call out to everyone and bring them together. It's such a sweet moment. I was bawling my eyes out when they died. I don't have much to say about that theme specifically, but I wanted to get into the last chunk of it, which is redemption, selflessness, self-sacrifice, and religion, and rebellion, I guess, which is a lot, but they all kind of tie together. So Kawada in the story, his whole thing revolves around redeeming himself. In the book, I don't remember when, but it's revealed that he previously won one of these. Not just one of these, the last one that took place. So then another year, he's transferred to this place because the rest of his class is dead. And then he's forced to take part again. And so this time he wants to redeem himself for killing all those people because he was like one of the top killers that year. And so he wants to believe that he can save everyone. And it's so hard because all of these connect so strongly. But as I mentioned, he sacrifices himself to make sure Shuya and Noriko escape because he believes in them more than himself. He believes they deserve to live more than him, which goes into the idea of redemption. His whole story is about redeeming himself. Into selflessness, he's selfless in his last moments. And then into the idea of rebellion, because, I shouldn't say because, but obviously, but there's a specific line. I believe, I could be making this up, I don't think I am, where he says, I think he says, "Do I look like Jesus?" Which is obviously a reference to the fact that he sacrifices himself so that they can escape. But one thing about religion is that it is consistently used in this novel in reference to acts of rebellion. As I mentioned, Yukiko and Yumiko are their families are Christian and they go to church. And then they mention their religion in their decision to sacrifice themselves, essentially, in their attempt to bring everyone together. There's a line that for some reason I don't have tabbed. I went searching for it and I'm devastated by this. But there's a line in which Shuya says, I don't know, like, rock is my religion, Bruce Springsteen is my Bible, and there's a third part to it, and I really wish I saved it. It would have been so perfect here. But once again, because rock music is banned in their country, and once again, they're using religion in reference to how they rebel against the state. And that's a really interesting thing to me, is how they consistently use religion, oops, to do that. Hold on. And then there's this line, which doesn't relate as much to rebellion. It's more of, I guess it relates more to the evil. And because I also wrote for religion innocence, that's only in this scene, which is the line, "No, where the hell is God?" Oh, he says, "Oh God, no, where the hell is God in all of this?" Miss Anna was such a devout Christian, and what did her faith get her, aside from being raped by Sakamochi? Well, hell fucking lula. Oh, good. I think that's a great line. I don't know if I have anything else in here. other than this picture of my bestie, which is that Yukiko line. I think this book is really interesting in how its references to religion are about rebellion. And I'm really interested to know as to why that didn't come out very well. I I truly cannot explain what makes religion the choice of concept to convey rebellion. But I think it's really interesting, and I thought it really made for a compelling narrative. And I wrote down every time it was referenced, they referenced religion. I wrote the word religion beside it. I didn't tab it because I didn't want to overload it with tabs. And now I can't find all of them. But it's fine. The only other thing I kind of want to talk about is the tangerines. I can't really tie that to anything else. I missed I missed some characters. I want to talk about Tadakatsu and Takiguchi and how they also resemble this idea of selflessness and putting yourself in a situation that is risky because it's the right thing to do. Because basically, and that's the line I had saved from Soma. I didn't have it saved, that's a lie. But where she's talking to these two and she's trying to manipulate them into letting her hang out with them. And so the book makes sure to note that her voice is sweet. And then there's that line, but it mixed just a little bit in there. She might be feeling real emotion. Because for once, someone has decided to be nice to her. For once, someone has stuck up for her in her darkest moments. Someone's being nice to her. And at that moment, it doesn't appear to be for sex. Because in her story, there's a page about it in which it talks about how every man she had gotten close to was an adult that eventually raped her. Um, I don't have this saved. I don't know if I have that. I do have it saved. It should be. I don't think it's that one. No, it's one of the high ones though. I kind of save it. Yeah, this one. And it kind of talks about how, because yeah, this is her death, and it sort of talks about how when I start living this way, and then it talks about her life and about all the times she had been essentially raped and then bullied and then just reading it again is Jesus Christ. What the fuck? Is it necessary to the book? I don't really think so. Did she need to get raped by 4 different people? Uh, um, but yeah, the character Takaguchi wants to believe that she can be okay. And so even though Tadakatsu is against her, he decides to agree and works with her. Ultimately, and he even Takaguchi sacrifices himself for Soma, believing her to be a good person. It's such a devastating end for some of these characters. And I think, and that, like, yeah, that's why I want to talk about some of these minor characters. Is because even if they're on page for like less than 10 pages, they truly not only had an impact on me while reading, but have such a big impact on what the story means and the themes of it. I think I'm done. That's everything I wanted to cover. Battle Royale is one of the best books I've ever read. It is a modern classic, and if you can handle I shouldn't even say intense gore, but like if you feel like you can handle a normal amount, you should be able to read it, and I think you should. I get that it's long, I get it, but it's so good. Also, I've heard bad things about other translations. I thought this was a really good one. Personally, the remaster, I want to say 2010 remaster. No one says 2009. I don't know exactly when this one was translated, but look for this cover. This is the one I feel. I mean, I could not tell you which one's the best translation, but I've heard that a lot of the earlier ones weren't great. So, but truly, this book is, I guess it's not one of a kind technically, but it is truly amazing and remarkable and so powerful. I feel like people tend to look over it because it's very, I don't want to, once again, not very gory. It's not splatterpunk, but it can get violent, and I feel like people want to ignore its impact and the themes within it because it's like, for example, Lord of the Flies. There's some brutal scenes, but they're not very graphic. Like, yeah, there's the part where they kick Simon to death, but it only really talks about them kicking a monster for it to be revealed to have been Simon. And then later on, when Piggy gets hit by that giant rock, it just says it hits him and he falls down the cliff. It doesn't go into any like blood or anything. This one does. So, if you have a weak stomach, don't read it. But I mean, that was just a fraction of not only what happens in this book. I guess I kind of spoiled it. As only a fraction of what happens in this book and what the author was doing in this book. It's truly, truly amazing, and I do think you should go for it. Yes. I feel like I'm missing something, but I feel like this video is probably pretty long. So, thank you for watching. I actually had lots of fun talking about this. I've always wanted to write a I guess it's not really an essay, but like a kind of essay for somewhere I actually enjoyed fucking reading. So I had a lot of fun making this video, surprisingly. I don't know I don't know if I'll ever do this again. I don't tend to read books. I mean, I read one of the Flies, but don't make me, please. Actually, I think I did good on the essay, but it's still, no. Jekyll and Hyde, I'd be willing to. I don't know. If you'd be interested, there's a couple books on this shelf that I'd be willing to go actual analysis, not just loved this, but like, this is what this meant. I don't know. But until then, goodbye. Maybe watch some of my other videos or my upcoming videos, which I do intend to lean slightly away from books. I'm not going away from them. I just a bit more variety. But yeah, thanks for watching. I forgot what goodbye in French was. Au revoir.